YOLO Composing Gloves here. Today we're going to be taking a look at how Amplitude, I have it right here, short sounds lose perceived amplitude. They get softer after they pass around the 100 to 40 millisecond range. This is pretty intuitive. Most people would just understand this just from looking at it. But so let me just show you what I mean. So here's the sound. It's a kick drum. And I'm going to make it shorter using this out knob. And as I make it shorter, it'll get softer. And your mighty kick has been reduced to a little poof. And now what's going on here is the frequency content may still be there. In this particular example, it may be reduced. But I'm claiming this is true for all sounds. As they get shorter and shorter and shorter, now they have to get past a certain point. Obviously, if you have a really long sound, the sound's still going to be long, but it's because it's still so long, it'll still be perceived as just as loud. But as it gets shorter, it becomes more and more difficult for us to gauge how loud that sound is. And this is really useful in that we notice there's sort of like a natural EQ curve. We still see there's a fair amount of low end. We just can't perceive it. It's too short. So this makes sounds like this very useful for layering together. For example, we may have two kicks. Maybe we're creating a new banger tune, right? At the beginning, we can have a kick that's short, like so, and then a kick that is long, like so. And then we'll have the short kick at the beginning and the long kick for the drop. So we'd have this. And then we'd have, like a crazy synth line. Boom, bum, boom, 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 top. And maybe we're amping up. And then at the drop, wah, boom, 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 boom. Now this is not the greatest kick on the planet. But you get the idea. There's going to be this big drop, and we have now done something that maybe is a little bit more fluid than other options. Some people use high-pass filters, but the problem with the high-pass filter is if we grab one of those, that's more plugins. This is just faster. Free filter. As we got this Q knob here, okay, so we're going to have some resonance. So maybe we'll say, oh, no, we'll use a filter. Well, we may run into this. So let's say we toss that on there and we say, oh yeah, that'll be great. We're going to do a high pass filter and have it open up. Whoops, other way around. And so we're giving away part of the bass, so it's not quite as impactful. It's a little messier because we have resonance, but it does have that resonant sound. And you notice that this similar thing takes place. If we remove the spectrum, if we remove part of the spectrums, we induce an EQ curve that makes it sound shorter than it actually is. Now, to a degree, this is only true for kick sounds because they actually have an envelope that is attached to the frequency spectrum. As the frequency sweeps down, that area of the spectrum that becomes audible, it is perceived to be longer. So sounds that are not the whose contours independent of frequency content are a little bit different of a story because they're not tied together like a kick is. So, but anyways, you get the idea. We're able to do this thing now. And this is a little bit, having just a short kick lead into a long kick, it might be a little bit cleaner of an option. And we can avoid things like resonance and other problems like phase shifts and stuff related to filters. However, that's like a non-issue for this sort of a thing. I think there was one other thing I wanted to tell you guys. Just don't remember. So we have natural EQ. Oh, transient shapers. That's what I wanted to show you. So here's a transient master, and we can accomplish a very similar effect with this. So if I just bring the sustain out, it's as if we went in here and just did this. Only now, if we don't have that knob available to us, we can do it with just a transient master. And this is cool because if we have a continuous piece of audio with many short lengths of audio, we're able to bring down the volume of them all and accomplish the same effect as a filter by altering the length of that piece of the sound. We are essentially we're making the sound globally short by affecting its local shortness. And we'll talk about global and local length in more depth in another video. You can see very similar effect to what we had here. It's not quite as intense. It's more like out there. But different transient shapers can do this to different extents. If we bring it back, that was our original. And this is really useful when we start talking about the tightness of a sound. But anyways, I just wanted to show you that like it sounds softer as well. The sound volume literally decreases. There's a variety of ways we can accomplish this effect, and it's something we need to be aware of when we're working in our track, because if we want to mix this, we're going to have to compete with things. This may actually work better because now low-end things can do their job. So instead of making an EQ cut, you may consider making an envelope cut that may make your sound punchier in the process as well. I like removing sustain on things all the time because I like how it makes the sound a little bit tighter. We could also go the other way and it makes it sound sort of like a floofy type of sound, if that's even a word. This guy's like whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. I'm not sure. Maybe on a kick drum, probably wouldn't want to do that. But there are some sounds that would benefit from stuff like that. And then we didn't even need to touch our attack. So we've really augmented our kick sound just by using the sustain and only removing things. Now we might need to bring things back, such as bring the gain up to make up for the loss in perceived amplitude. And this is where we might run into the problem of, well, now our frequencies might get boosted, so we may need to go in there and make an EQ cut in the end after all. Because we see there's still quite a bit going on down there. So it's just to each their own. There are different ideas about thinking about these things. If you have any questions about this, let me know. This is just something that is useful for sampling and so forth, because we're able to apply this sort of natural occurring EQ curve. And then, yeah, I just say pretty much, I point out a little bit about filters right here. And yeah, this is also, if you were to do some like post-processing, like right here, shortness and length are often found together in musical lines to offer contrast to the song, may be used in the creative style of playing. Now this is more in line with if we're writing a melodic line, it makes sense to have short notes and long notes, and the short notes will naturally sound softer than the long notes. So if I were to just pull out, like, let's just grab an instance of Harmor and write out a line right here, open up a new pattern. If I were to write out something and just have some notes that are shorter, oh my gosh, forgot how loud Harmor can be. Now I don't want to get too into length, but Spectrum also is a player in this game. So let's just have, so like here's a long note, and then here are some short notes of the same amplitude. And these sound considerably softer. I mean, just listen to how long this is. I mean, how loud. And these are much softer in comparison. Even though they're the exact same amplitude as these. It's completely in your head. There's nothing else about it. And so when we're writing musical lines, a lot of times we can achieve dynamic effects simply by having shorter notes. And it's for the same reason this is happening over here. I just want to bring that up because musically it's a really useful tool. It's the reason why like things like little grace notes work out the way they do. Like that grace note is super soft compared to this note. It's kind of crazy to me, like how this works out. Like how far we have to turn it up to get it to be the same perceived. I think it's right about there. That is the amount we would need to turn this note up by to get it to sound the same volume level. Wow, some guys. There you go. Very interesting thing. Some I didn't really like consciously use for the longest time. I just sort of understood it under the hood. And when it was finally pointed out to me, I was like, oh, dang, that's handy dandy. And also it sort of made me start to think maybe if I had a resonance, I had a lot of songs with resonant problems. And I found that I could correct a lot of these resonant issues, first off, by just removing the resonance or making an EQ cut, which is what I used to do. But then I found out, oh, if I just do an amplitude cut and automate an envelope, it's a much cleaner sounding version than if I were to automate a filter. Even though the filter usually occurs to people first, the envelope oftentimes offers a cleaner, more natural sounding sound, especially since the sounds are directly, one sound's just a longer version of that sound. So very useful things if resonance ever becomes an issue for you. If you have any questions, let me know. Subscribe and have a blessed day.
Stereotype this.